Welcome back to the Universal Writer's Guide. My name is Robert Stasio, and this is Chapter 2. We're going to discuss what to do. If you're here for Chapter 1, you know that we discussed several things not to do, and this chapter will explore what to do, and that is the 5-paragraph essay. So it's discussed a lot that the 5-paragraph essay is very basic, and many people, by the time you get certainly to the end of high school, get tired of doing so, that it's just the same basic essay over and over again. But the thing is that a lot of people don't get the basics down, and we talked about how in this guide that is the priority here. And there's a lot of things that folks miss that even by the time they get to college, they won't really have everything down, and it'll be missing different elements. This chapter is gonna go right through the basics of it and improve on what we talked about from Chapter 1. So, starting with first thing first is body paragraph. Explore one main concept each, right? That a lot of times we'll have body paragraphs that start off about one thing and ends about another. It's no good, and this is going to make the essay writing easier, really, that you don't have that rambling effect when you can get excited when you're writing and you got an idea, but it got to be cohesive, and you got to take your time with it. But the faster you get that concept, the easier it's going to go. So body paragraphs, one concept. And one paragraph should equal between 5 and 8 sentences. If you have less than 5 sentences, then not enough information was provided. Right? I've seen it doesn't occur in 4-sentence paragraphs. I've seen 3-sentence paragraphs. Of course, in the Mario essay, there was the 2-sentence paragraph, and I've even seen the mythical 1-sentence paragraph. Not enough information. 5 sentences minimal. And so now more than 8 sentences is going to be too much information going on there. Some people will argue that point. I've heard of folks saying 10-sentence paragraphs, 12. I've even heard 13, 14. Listen, when you start getting beyond 10, 12 sentences, you're talking about an entire sheet of paper a lot of times. All right? That is not a paragraph. That's a page of paper. Okay? So, 5 to 8 sentences and a few solid paragraphs can satisfy many academic assignments. We'll find that, not everything is an essay. A lot of times it'll just be like a paragraph response, and having cohesive, good paragraphs and being able to manufacture them quickly and efficiently goes a long way throughout your academic career. Okay, so number 2 is going to be sentence length. If you write shorter sentences, aim for the 7 to 8 sentence per paragraph. There is nothing the matter with doing shorter sentences. They can a lot of times be more specific and direct, and you cut down on a lot of grammar problems when you're writing in short sentences, but just know that you want to get to that 7 to 8 sentence length. And if you write longer sentences, that's fine as well, but you can probably get to 5 to 6 sentences, maybe enough. And if you've got command of both, consider having both short and long sentences in your writing. Okay, number 3 is going to be a big part of this chapter: brainstorm, free writing, and outlining. Before you get to writing the essay, you want to gather the raw materials and then organize it. These steps save time and dramatically improve writing outcomes, yet they are frequently skipped. I do find that folks want to skip this step often, and just get right into the essay writing, But we talked about how in the previous chapter, the flight pilot, before you go on a flight, you want to have that flight path mapped out in your mind so that you can just concentrate on the flying. Same thing in writing, is you want to have a flight plan together. You want to have a plan together before you get to writing, and that way you can focus just on the writing. And we also talked about the computer that's got too many programs running at the same time. It slows the computer down and it may malfunction. And those programs writing is keeping an idea of what you've already written and what you're going to write. All right, have those things settled before you get into writing the essay. And you can do that by having an outline and that was put together with a solid but brief brainstorm or free write session. So the fourth thing we're going to want to have is to know the blueprint. And an academic essay will always be a series of paragraphs consisting of your opinions, personal experiences, your research. Later on, we'll discuss that with an intro and conclusion. And in the graphic below explores the following. It's going to be an intro, 3 to 5 sentences, opinion paragraph, 1, 2, and 3, 5 to 8 sentences each, and then a conclusion paragraph, 3 to 5 sentences. Now, I realize we talked about intros we talked about 5 to 8 sentences. In your intro and conclusion, there's going to be some real good reasons to keep that at 3 to 5 sentences, mostly being that you don't want to use up all of your discussion points in the intro and conclusion. I save those for the opinion paragraphs. More on that in later chapters, but yes, understand the blueprint, and that will be very helpful. So we had talked about free writing, brainstorming, and they will supply us with ideas. Now, the free write is going to be writing freely for at least 5 minutes, I would say, until you get you've had a good session. And it just gets your ideas out, and don't worry about repeating and rambling. I know we spent a lot of time talking about not to do that, but here is one place that is fine. Just write. Even 5 minutes is good, right? And here the topic is what makes a party fun, and you can see I got like 9, 10 sentences, 12 sentences down there. And after that free write session, 5 minutes, go back and circle words that you think might be useful. All right, you can see I circled in red some of the different stuff there. What makes a party fun would be friends, Jenga, wings, cake, games, work, pizza. All right, and next in the brainstorm, I brought down some of the ideas from the top. I brought down all the ideas and added a few more things in the brainstorm, right? And so I got all these boxes filled so I can just look at it at a glance. Some of the stuff that got added would be balloons, classmates, snacks, cards, coworkers, soda pop. Okay, so that just makes it easier as we go into the next step. You can see in the bottom right hand corner there, ideas will turn into outlines next page that we'll be looking at. And these ideas, now that we got them, they're just all freely out there, we're going to organize them. Now, if you have ordered the book, Universal Writer's Guide, available on Amazon, search Universal Writer's Guide, or check in the comments in the link below. We'll take you to it. That you have a blank here, and it has a slightly different question. What is your idea of a good weekend? and it has a place to do a free write on what you think are good ideas, and then just follow the example from the previous slide, or on the page it'll be above, that you just go in there, circle a bunch of your ideas, and then bring them down into the brainstorm. Make sure try and get most of these filled, these empty boxes at the bottom in the brainstorm filled, and then you'll be ready for the next step. All right, so in the lower left graphic there, we have a small picture of our free writing and brainstorming, and from the brainstorm there, where we have all our boxes filled in, we take those ideas and put them in the upper right hand box here, which is our outline. All right, and labeled clearly with our main topic, what makes a party fun, and is subtopic 1, which is going to eventually be paragraph 1, is going to be food. Subtopic 2 will be games, and subtopic 3 will be people. All right, so in the food paragraph, we're going to discuss details of pizza, wings, and cake. In our second paragraph about games, we will discuss details of cards, dominoes, and Jenga. And subtopic 3, we will discuss people, and the details of that paragraph will be family, friends, and coworkers. Okay. So to recap, the main topic is the largest and overall idea of the paper, and also will be known as the thesis, which we'll discuss later in our next chapter. The subtopics are the 3 reasons that support the main topic, and they are each given a paragraph of explanation made up of details A, B, and C. These are the smallest, most specific ideas. Determining the 3 subtopics can be the most difficult part of outlining. If they are too similar, then it results in a repetitive essay, as we discussed in the previous chapter. So, yeah, dividing these things up can be more difficult, especially as your topic gets more complex than what makes a party fun. Can be more difficult to figuring out like what's going to be a good subtopic and what's going to be a good detail, and it's ultimately up to the good judgment of the writer to make that call, and that's why you want to spend sufficient time in the outlining process to get that right before you get into like writing. And this goes back to saving time and energy, and reading and writing is an energy. It'll exhaust your energy doing so, and it's much easier to figure things out at this stage, so that when you get to the writing stage, you're not having these situations where you wrote a page in a half and kind of realized that you're talking about the same thing and whatnot. So the process of deciding if an idea is good for its own paragraph or better off as a detail sentence is not always an easy task. For instance, in the essay question, how do you keep a good home? So the writer here is trying to figure out, should the concepts clean and organized be included in the same paragraph, or can each get their own paragraph? And we'll take a look at the examples, but something to ask yourself right now: does the clean paragraph, can you do a clean paragraph about how to keep a good home and do an organized paragraph, or would organized fit in the clean paragraph? Is on the left hand side you see clean, and then it has organized in it as a detail, dust as a detail, and vacuum as a detail. And as you see, that paragraph would definitely work out. Now, it is also possible, though, that you have on the right hand side there, that you have the clean paragraph where you will discuss disinfect as A is a detail, B detail would be dust, and C detail in the clean paragraph would be vacuum, right? All things that you would do to clean your home. And in paragraph number 2 in the orange there, you have the organized paragraph. And that would be organize the closets, organize the drawers, and organize the garage. Okay, so that would work just fine as well. But the big thing would be is do not discuss organized in the clean paragraph, and do not discuss clean in the organized paragraph. Okay, so yes, they can sometimes, I've had a split audience debate whether or not these two deserve their own paragraph or not. And it all comes down to you as the writer and what you feel comfortable doing, and just making sure, like I said, those paragraphs stay separate. Let's take a second example. I want to write a paragraph on fondue. And those of you that don't know what fondue is like, I know they got them at the Golden Corral, which is a buffet restaurant. And they're those fountains that pour out, like there's just chocolate pouring out of them, and you can get like marshmallows and you put them on the end of a, metal stick type thing, and then it coats it in chocolate or whatever, marshmallows or bread. And anyways, this was known as fondue. But you can see in that purple box at the bottom there that I know fondue, they have a chocolate fountain, and also there's a cheese one. They're very good. It's the same thing except for instead of chocolate pouring out of this fountain, it's just like nacho cheese spilling out. Very delicious and probably not too healthy for you, but yes, fondue. Now, as you see, I get to see, I don't know what the third thing I could talk about in a fountain of fondue, because I've never had it. So I could like sit around and really, try and figure out what that is. But I could also go over here, and it might make my life a whole lot easier if in the green box to the right there, instead of doing a paragraph of fondue, I could do a paragraph of appetizers that I know much better. And my A example would be fondue, and I could just have a detail sentence talking about fondue. And a B detail sentence talking about sushi. And then finally a C sentence or two talking about a veggie plate, right? And then, so it'd make just the process for me personally, the appetizers paragraph would go much more smoothly and much more easily than the fondue paragraph. Although I'd admit, people have told me, so the C thing for fondue is apparently they have caramel fondue fountains pouring out caramel to put on apples or whatever. But I didn't know that till recently. So it's the appetizers paragraph. But again, it just comes down to your own good judgment, and don't push things too much that you don't have any information or inspiration on, and that doesn't mean you can't use it. It just, like, some things might be better off for you as a detail than a subtopic. Like, you can't do a whole paragraph on it, but you can use it as a detail, whatever works for you. And that's the way outlining should go, is that it should suit you and what you'll feel comfortable writing. So here we go from outline to essay. At the top, you see we have our outline, and below it is the essay. And you'll notice the colors all match up. We got the orange paragraph for the food, blue for the games, and purple for people. Okay, and starting out with the food paragraph, number 1 is going to be the subtopic open. A little bit more on that in the next page. But we start out, one of the most important aspects of the party is food. All right, that starts our paragraph off. And in sentence A, everybody loves pizza, whether it's Hawaiian, vegetable, or pepperoni. People enjoy a nice pie. And in B there, wings. Another great choice is chicken wings. People often like them hot or barbecue, but always extra crispy. And C, cake. Sentence goes, of course, cake is a must. Chocolate or lemon covered in cake, coated in icing, will satisfy nearly every guest. And then we have the subtopic close. It goes without saying that food goes a long way in making a party enjoyable. All right, so a sentence or two for each of the details, and we open the paragraph out, introducing food, and then we conclude with a sentence about food. So number 2, number 3 continue just like that. Having games for your guests to play keeps the party from becoming stale. And sentence A talks about cards. Sentence B, dominoes. Sentence C, Jenga, right? And then we close it down again with the right games that your party guests will have fun, memorable time. Okay, and then on number 3, same deal. Start it out, open it up. This is the people paragraph. And a couple of sentences each one for family, a couple sentences for friends, and a couple sentences for coworkers. And then we close the paragraph out about people. So you can see how from the outline we have a real good idea of how the essay plays out. Everything stays in its own paragraph. There's no repeating, and we just keep moving on with our main topic, what makes a party fun. All right, so those of you that have bought the book, we have a blank outline at top, and then paragraphs below. If on the previous pages, you should have the free write and brainstorm completed already with your ideas, and you'll just take them up to the top there and fill in. My idea of a good weekend is come up with 3 different subtopics and details for each of them. Double check, make sure you're not repeating yourself, and you will fill in the paragraphs below. Look at the previous essay for an example. Now, before you get to filling it out, you might want to take a look at the next slide coming up here, and we're going to discuss fully subtopic open, subtopic close. Subtopic open, subtopic close, aka transition sentences. They are a necessary component of an academic paragraph. They are the first sentence of each paragraph that announce what the topic of the paragraph is. In this guide, we refer to them as subtopic open and subtopic close. Common subtopic opens include: first, I will discuss the following topic of; next, I will talk about; or finally, it's important to explore the concept of. I also recommend using the final sentence of your paragraph as a subtopic close, a sentence that reaffirms the topic of the paragraph at the end. This keeps both the reader and writer on track as to what the paragraph was about, and it can be easy to drift off during the reading and the writing of the paragraph. So when in doubt, you can always say the subtopic open backwards for the close. Example, you start off the paragraph by saying pizza is my favorite food, and you can close it out by saying clearly my meal of choice is pizza. So something like that. Now, transition sentences, I don't love to refer to them as that, because what happens is some instructors will recommend that at the end of the paragraph you say something to the effect of, so clearly pizza is my favorite food, and now that we've discussed pizza, we will explore games in the coming paragraph. And for me, I'm just very strict about each paragraph. The food paragraph is the food paragraph, and the games paragraph is the games paragraph. And I do not want any talk of games going on in the food paragraph or of food going on in the games paragraph. I think they naturally transition if you got a good outline and all your topics match up and make sense. Then you don't have to be doing this in mixing of concepts and paragraphs. So again, I'm just very strict about keeping each paragraph like the one thing, and that's why I recommend using subtopic open, subtopic close, and keeping it all on topic. Levels of high school and into college. Students will still use transitional sentences, but are discouraged by some of the previous examples where it was saying, first I'm going to talk about food at a party. Secondly, I will talk about games at a party. And then in the third paragraph, finally, I will talk about the people that I'll invite to the party. And some instructors may discourage this because they feel like it's a little too basic. But I would say, in the 5-paragraph essay, it is just a convention of it. And so sometimes the results of trying to reinvent the wheel of transition sentences is that it fails to announce the topic of the paragraph, which leads to confusion for both the reader and the writer. So when you're writing a paper, those transitional sentences, subtopic open, subtopic close, are both for your reader when they're reading, so they are keep on track with it, but you as a writer as well. It's easy for your mind to drift, and also for your instructors. I mean, if they've got 100 papers to correct and read through, that their mind can drift too as they're reading. So it is my view, it's not that important if you do subtopic open and close at a beginner level or advanced level. Only that you are sure to make it known to the reader what the topic of the paragraph will be about. Keep in mind, that's the bottom line right there, is that the reader is always on track with what the paragraph will be about. Okay, here we are at the end of chapter 2. Let's do a recap. Number 1, we talked about body paragraphs. Make sure that they're 5 to 8 sentences long. Should be nice and even throughout the entire paper. And also in that, consider your sentence length. You write short, then keep it on the side of 8 sentences. And if you write longer sentences, you may not need 8 sentences. 5 to 6 might be fine. Number 2, know the blueprint of the 5-paragraph essay. Right below there, you got an intro, 3 opinion paragraphs, and a conclusion. And 3 here, make sure you brainstorm, free write, even if it's just 5 minutes, informally in some way, shape, or form. Brainstorm and or free write beforehand. And then 4, organize, brainstorm, free write into an outline below, which you will have 3 subtopics: food, games, and people in this case, and then each has got details. Number 5, make sure you write the essay according to the outline. I have encountered some students that put in all the pre-work and outlined and everything. It did not follow it. Listen, you can tell that essay is going to be good before the essay is written, as long as you got the outline right. And then the outline, just make sure you stay loyal to the outline when you are writing the essay. And number 6, use subtopic open/close to begin and end each paragraph, also known as the transitional sentence. Okay, so we're at the end of chapter 2 here. If if you haven't gotten the book there, I encourage you to get it, because you want to put the stuff into practice, and even the one time around that you do it in the book will stick with you a lot better later on when it comes time to do. You'll probably be doing more difficult topics, I'm sure, than what makes a party fun, but having a nice, easy essay and having the opportunity to just go through it, not as an intellectual paper, but just, kind of a softball there, it'll really get you the format down and get that together as we go into chapter 3. We'll be talking about the thesis statements and how we can use this exact same formula for longer essays, and we'll also get into discussions and talk about the introductions and conclusions. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next video, chapter 3. Let's go.